I suggest you study this.
The views and opinions expressed on the Rosco Show are not necessarily those of Rosco. Assumptions made within this program are not reflective of the position of Rosco. Please do your own research when it comes to any and all information given on this program. Google is your friend.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board. 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 Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Welcome to the Rosco Show. I am Rosco, as always, hanging out with the lovely Iris. Iris, how are you? She said she's good, for anybody wondering where her microphone is. We're going to get her a microphone one day, I promise you. The only problem is she's never going to talk on it, so I'm just going to buy 2 microphones just to have them, I guess. Maybe we'll set one up in front of her. If she coughs or sneezes or farts or something, we'll be able to pick that up, but I'm sorry, Iris. Anyways, today on the show, we have an author. She is the author of the book Trinitarian Magic for Teenagers and Young Adults, Wicca and Witchcraft. And she is also a witch. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today on the Rosco Show, I interview a witch. Now, when I say a witch, I don't mean like the Wizard of Oz style witch, or Hocus Pocus style of witch, or Witches of Eastwick style of witch. I'm just going through movies with witches in it now. What are some movies with witches? Help me out here. Can't think of one movie with a witch. The Wizard of Oz. I already said that. Okay, well anyways, The Craft. That's the little sound clip that you heard at the beginning. This is actually a really exciting interview. When I say that she's a witch, what I mean is she is actually a Wiccan. But most Wiccans refer to themselves as witches, male and female, and you'll learn later on in the episode why it is male witches do not call themselves warlocks, which is what I have always believed. Anyways, it's a really exciting one. I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to go through what we talked about in the interview right now. You're just going to have to listen for yourself. That's coming on later on in the episode. But for right now, let's get into one of the staples of the show, Rosco's Bible reading. Check it out. God spoke to Abram. He said, "Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield. I am your great reward." Abram said, "God, what can you give me? My wife cannot have children. Who will inherit my land?" God said, "You will have a son. Go outside." So Abram went outside. God said, "Look up into the heavens. Do you see the stars? There are many to count. This is how abundant your offspring will be." Abram believed him. Then God said, "I will give you this land." Abram said, "How do I know I will truly have possession of it?" God said, "Bring me a heifer, a goat, and a ram, all 3 years old. Also, bring me a dove and a young pigeon." So Abram gathered these animals, cut them in half, and arranged them opposite each other. He did not do this with the birds. Later on, Abram was falling asleep when a thick, dreadful darkness came over him. God spoke to him again. He said, "You should know that your descendants are going to be slaves for 400 years, but don't worry. I will punish the nations that enslave your people, and when they are free, they will have many possessions. You, however, will go to your fathers and die in peace after many years. After 4 generations, when the sins of the Amorites are too great, your descendants will return here." When the sun set, a smoking fire pot with a blazing torch appeared. It passed between the pieces of the dead animals Abram had arranged. God then made a covenant with Abram. He said, "I now give you and all of your descendants this land, everything from the river of Egypt to the great river."
Hey, what up? This is Sin from Zug Island, and you're listening to The Rosco Show. Whoop, whoop.
Welcome back, guys. So let's talk about this Bible reading here for a second. God's covenant with Abram. So God tells Abram that his offspring is going to be so abundant, they're going to be like the stars in the sky. They're going to inherit the land that he's chilling on, and they're going to have all kinds of possessions. Cool. Then he tells him to go get some animals, a heifer, a goat, and a ram. They have to be 3 years old for some reason. Also, a dove and a young pigeon. Now, God doesn't tell Abram to do anything in particular with these animals, but Abram brings it upon himself to cut them in half and lay them out arranged opposite each other, whatever that means. So later on, Abram is sleeping. God tells him that his offspring, his descendants, are going to be slaves for 400 years. That's a little bit of foreshadowing. If you're familiar with the book of Exodus, you'll know what that's all about. He tells him, don't worry, we're going to punish them. And then he turns into a smoking pot with a torch coming out of it, and he kind of weaves in and out of the dead animals. Now, I'm not too educated in symbolism. I have no freaking idea what this means. Maybe it means something, maybe like a priest or something, or a rabbi can tell me what this means, but to be honest with you, I have no clue. So if you know what this means, hit me up. Rosco at theroscoshow.com. Shoot me an email. Tell me what you think it means. That would be cool. You know, I'd really like to understand this better. Alright guys, let's get into some Know the Truth with Pastor J right here on The Rosco Show. Check it out.
Hey sheep, Pastor J here from Know the Truth. This video is going to be a little bit different from the rest. I need to prepare you though. If there are any kids in the room, they need to leave right now. If they get a hold of any of this information, they'll be able to think for themselves, and we cannot have that. Also, if you're at work watching this video, press stop on your VCR, as this video is not safe for work either. Today, I'll be talking about humans sticking long things inside of your body
and making you die.
Before 1945, or whenever, I'm not sure about the date, don't quote me, vaccine started, we didn't have cancer. Now you got cancer in dogs.
I had a friend of mine send me an email the other day asking me my thoughts on vaccines. So I decided to take this opportunity to let America know, to let the world know my thoughts on vaccines. Now, anyone who knows me also knows that I research everything before putting my name on it. I am a doctor after all. Sure, sometimes I talk just to hear myself think, but it's usually after many days of studying the topic, because the last thing I want to do is look stupid, even though I doubt that's ever going to happen. So let's get started. First off, vaccines aren't even needed. We are intelligently designed by God to build up a natural immunity to these diseases that are far more effective than any man-made vaccine. Now, I'm sure that what I just said convinced you that all vaccines are a waste of time and money, but since I studied the truth so long, I'm going to continue. Take measles, for instance. Measles are a common and non-threatening disease found only in children, female weightlifters, and midgets. It rarely lasts more than 2 to 3 days, and there are never any long-term effects from having it. I don't even want to call it a disease because it's too harsh of a term, and I'm not in the business of hurting anybody's feelings. Let's call it an ailment. Now, let's take a look at the vaccines themselves. They are a live virus which actually caused the disease that doctors claim to stop. Studies show that around 83.2% of people that get the vaccine die from the disease itself within a month. If you're lucky enough not to die from the disease, you're looking at a strong 45% chance of getting autism, mental disorders, brain damage, gonorrhea, dyslexia, some type of paranoia, or impotence. These are serious risks that you're taking for a disease that you'll probably never get anyway. When was the last time you heard about somebody getting polio? Now you might be asking me, Pastor J, if I don't die from disease or get autism or brain damage, it'll be okay if I took the vaccine, right? Wrong. If you're lucky enough to survive all of that, you're gonna die from mercury poisoning. Not the planet by the same name, but the stuff found in anal thermometers. You see, the science behind all these vaccines are flawed and usually bought off by big pharma. These pharmaceutical companies then pay off doctors about $382 a shot to lie to the gullible public. The same way doctors did for tobacco companies before they were found out to be liar, pants on fires. Now, even with all this falsifiable scientific evidence I've given you in this video, I'm going to give you a scientific study published in 1998 by Dr. Andrew Wakefield. Dr. Wakefield conducted a study on 12 children. That's easily 5 times more subjects than your typical science study. Out of these 12 children, 9 became infected with the disease. That's 98%! Now, unless it's telling me I got the wrong answer, math does not lie. Also, if I read the paper right, 11 out of the 12 children got hemorrhoids so bad that they eventually burst into flames. 11 out of 12. That's a whopping 95.5%. So there you have it, my friends. My scientific study for not only why vaccinations are not needed, but why they are far more dangerous than playing with a loaded gun with the safety off, or sleeping with a $5 truck stop hooker without wearing a Jimmy cap. Teach the controversy.
Herpes? You thought you got that from kissing? No, it's compliments of your polio vaccine.
Welcome back. I just want to say to Pastor Jay that we just had our baby girl vaccinated, so should I be worried? Nah, I'm not worried. Who cares? I think it's, yeah, either way. All right, guys, here you go. 13 things that you did not know about Wicca. That's right. You're going to learn a thing or two in the interview that I have with Kasey, but before we go into the interview, I'm just going to inject some knowledge into that skull of yours, just so you have a little bit of an idea going into the interview. Here we go. 13 things you didn't know about Wicca. Number 1. Wicca is a pagan religion. So yes, there is a connection between Wicca and paganism. It revolves around practicing good deeds toward all living things, which is awesome, and the environment. They use witchcraft. They have devotion to ancient gods and inner peace. So, very similar to other religions, I guess, minus the witchcraft. Number 2. Yes, Wiccans do believe in magic. And no, not the Harry Potter style of magic. They don't, boil dried bats or whatever you think they might do. It's a totally different type of magic. Number 3. Wiccans don't believe in Satan. Pretty simple. They just don't believe that there's a devil. And we do touch on that in the interview a little bit, so check that out when we get there. Number 4. Just like every other religion, Wiccans have their own holidays. Pretty simple as well. Number 5. Wiccans do not sacrifice anything. So if you're picturing, a bunch of witches out in the forest sacrificing a goat, they don't do that. This is not the Old Testament, guys. Number 6. Wiccans gather in covens. That is right. I'm not sure if you're familiar with American Horror Story, but, that would be a coven, and Wiccans consider themselves witches, and there's 13 witches in a coven. I'm not too familiar with it, but yeah, they gather in covens. Pretty simple. Number 7. Wiccans value the 5 elements, which would be air, water, earth, fire, and spirit. Some people might consider that last element to be ether. Interesting. And also, that's why the pentagram has the 5 points. Each point represents a different element. Interesting, yes. Number 8. Wicca is a religion that requires initiation. So you can't just decide to become a Wiccan. You must be initiated into Wiccanism. Is that what it is? Is that how you pronounce it? Wiccanism? I should have asked Kasey in the interview. Either way. Number 9. Knowing yourself and your own energy is a big part of being a Wiccan. So you have to feel into that inner energy. Otherwise, you really don't understand Wiccanism. There it is again, Wiccanism. Is that what it is? Number 10. Wiccans do not dance naked in the forest beneath the full moon. It says, they used to maybe, or they try to. I know, watching some interviews with Gerald Gardner, he says that they do. They asked what kind of clothes they wear, and he said their skin, or something along those lines. But today's times, they don't go out in the forest and dance around naked. It'd be kind of cool if they did, but they don't. Number 11. Wiccans believe in a god and a goddess as the ones who provide energy and growth to the world. It is not the same as the Christian God, although I think there are certain elements taken from the Bible or taken from the Old Testament or the Torah or whatever you want to call it. So there you go. Number 12. Wicca accepts men in their practices too. And like I stated earlier, a male Wiccan is not called a warlock. I guess you would just call them a male witch. And finally, number 13. Wiccan philosophy is harming none, do what you will. Everything you do comes back to you threefold. There is a reaction to every action, and all living things are connected in a web. Interesting. So there you have it, guys. 13 things you didn't know about Wicca, or maybe you didn't. Maybe you knew some of that stuff. I'm not going to lie, I really had no clue when it came to Wicca, so this was very, very helpful for me, not to mention the interview that I did with Kasey. So, awesome, there you go. So we're going to get into some commercials right now, guys. When we come back, we'll be getting into the first half of the interview we did with Kasey the Witch. Sorry about that. Stick around.
You want to keep warm when you're feeling chilled, but you don't want to raise your heating bill. Blankets are okay, but they can slip and slide. And when you need to reach for something, your hands are trapped inside. What do? Join a cult. Cults give you warm, comfortable robes that have sleeves. The robes keep you totally warm and give you freedom to use your hands. But that's where your freedom stops. Now, you can only watch propaganda. You can only read propaganda. And you can only write propaganda. You can also eat a bowl full of infant pieces. Cult robes are made from ultra-soft, thick, luxurious hemp. And we make old women knit all of them or else. Brainwash your children and still be wrapped in warmth. Having trouble meeting women? Well, check out this little lady who's waiting for you to impregnate her with our next savior, Zashiwasho. We provide you with cocaine-laced coffee every morning so you can quickly perform manual labor and then play backgammon with our leader who will probably rape you regardless of your gender or your age. Don't try to call the police, though, because we have the technology to turn your newborn baby into a dog. Then we roast the insides of your dog child over a fire. Everyone loves it but you. You can study up on that law that doesn't apply here all you want, but you're here for life. Now you can do what we all want you to do while you stay totally warm in a cult.
Divine Mysticism is a family-run business devoted to supporting seekers from every culture, magical tradition, or level of experience in their search for spiritual growth, healing, enlightenment, or knowledge of the occult. We carry supplies from many magical traditions and forms of paganism. We provide a wide selection of magical tools along with spell and ritual supplies for the solitary practitioner and magical groups alike. So to find the item you need for your metaphysical and spiritual practice and occult studies today, visit divinemysticism.com.
Where did we come from? Are aliens real? Did God really create the earth in 7 days? Why does the scripture contradict itself? What happened to the dinosaurs? Where do we go when we die? Are we living in the Matrix? I used to think I was the only one that asked myself these questions. Turns out, a lot of people ask themselves these questions. Like-minded individuals! Well, we're all a little on the side of, not really knowing anything. So I started a podcast appropriately titled The Rosco Show. Oh no, not another atheist podcast. You really think you can throw your hat into this race? Don't worry, other Rosco. Sure, we feature atheists here and there, but this is a podcast for everyone. What I'm really interested in is talking to believers. And non-believers, of course. Basically, I like to hear all the weird, abstract, what the fuck did he just say? Things that go on inside of people's heads. Hit us up on Spreaker or at theroscoshow.com. You might just learn something. Welcome back to the Rosco Show. I am here with Kasey. She is a Wicca. She's been a Wiccan for the past 10 years. She lives in Virginia, and she is the author of the new book, Trinitarian Magic for Teenagers and Young Adults, Wicca and Witchcraft. Kasey, how the hell are you?
I am doing very good today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I really appreciate it. Can you tell me a little bit about your background?
I was raised in Franklin County, Virginia. My parents, they didn't go to church, but my mother was rather religious for not attending church, but she was just more of one of those reclusive type people that didn't like getting out a lot, but she was a Jesus lover. She had Jesus figurines all over the house, angel figurines all over the house. You felt like you were sinning if you just stole a piece of cake in the house. But
wow.
I started going to church when I was around 14, but I didn't really get a homey feel with the church, especially when they told me that attending church was more important than taking care of my dying mother at the time. So I turned my attention back to actual Wicca, and I have been actually looking into it since the time I was around 8 or 9 years old. The movie Craft was one of the all-time favorite movies of mine as a young child, and I decided to take my adventures along that path. In 2007, I stumbled across what was called Trinitarian Wicca, which is by Nancy Chandler. She penned the book Christian Wicca, the Trinitarian Tradition, but everybody kind of picked it apart the wrong way. And we've been writing on the second book for that one since 2008. we have yet to finish it. It should be out in the next couple of months though. But ever since around 2007, I have been deep into the studies of the occult.
Wow, so you just picked up that book and started reading it, and that's kind of what got you into Wicca?
Well, that's not what got me into Wicca. I was always drawn to Wicca, but it was the one pantheon that I actually felt homey with, because coming from a person who was grown up to love Jesus and everything, they actually use we term it Christian pantheon, but it's really not Christian because it involves the Canaanite times, it involves Jewish Kabbalah and Gnostic Christianity for the gods and goddesses. But one of the main things that terms it as Christian is because they use Jesus as the solar lord within the wheel of the year.
Wow. Doesn't the Bible kind of like speak against those type of arts, like well, I know specifically they say psychics, and I don't want to associate that with Wicca, but doesn't it kind of speak against that sort of thing?
The Bible is contradictory to itself. It speaks against it. Well, it says, like, the one verse that says, thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. It's all in translation, because the same word that was translated into witch is also poisoner. But
wow.
there's actual scriptures within the Bible that, like, Abraham went to to a king and was blessed by a king, and this king turned out to be an actual pagan king. And Jesus is termed the actual king of this group within the country that they were in.
Whoa, sorry, can you say that again? So Abraham was blessed by a king who turned out to be a pagan king?
Yes.
Would that be like Abimelech, or do you know what king that was?
My mind is frazzled right now. I can't really think of the name of the king right now, but it's actual searchable. It's not something I'm just popping off the top of my head. If you actually read the Old Testament, there's scripture where he went to this kingdom, and this king is the one that blessed him, and it was an actual pagan ceremony, and that he was the king of the pagan ceremony. He was the priest of it. And Jesus is considered the king and the priest of this entire clergy, and it's said in the New Testament.
Wow, I'll definitely have to look into that. There's probably people listening to this right now going, come on, Rosco, I know all about that. But no, I'd have to check into that. So you are the author of the book, Trinitarian Magic for Teenagers and Young Adults, Wicca and Witchcraft. When did that come out? That was just a couple days ago that came out.
Yes, I have been writing it for a year. I was devoting most of my time writing the Trinitarian Wicca. It's the actual goddess inclusive, where we go into the different goddesses of the pantheon. But I decided to break free from Nancy and pen my own book along with her guidance, There are so many groups out there on different social networkings and different schools for Wicca that say teenagers are not allowed. Why are teenagers not allowed? I mean, I can understand the whole thing with the parents issue and everything like that, but that's between the child and the actual parent. That's not between actually giving the information out to teenagers and making it available. I did a search for Wicca for teenagers, and there's very few books. The only one that's really out there is by Raven Silverwolf, and she's got 2 out there, but it only deals with Wicca. It doesn't deal with actual witchcraft, which there is an actual difference in, because just because you're a witch don't mean you're Wiccan.
Oh, wow. That was actually one of my questions, so spoiler alert, that's coming up. Okay, so actually, you know what? Let's just get right into that. So what is the difference between a Wiccan and a witch?
Wicca is a religion. Witchcraft doesn't have any religion to it at all. You can be a Christian witch, you can be a Druid witch, you can be a Celtic witch. It doesn't have to do anything with gods and goddesses. You're just doing magic. There's no invoking a spirit to do your will or anything like that. It's just plain magic. Like hoodoo practitioners, they're witches, but they go along with any type of form of religion. The hoodoo practices can meld to Christianity, which a lot of hoodoo practitioners do really have a thick Christian background when it comes to practicing. Wicca is just Christianity with the goddess. It's not the dogma or the patriarchal formality or anything like that, but basically it's just another religion where there's a high god and a high goddess that created the world.
Wow. Okay, so I'm learning some stuff here. So would you be offended if somebody referred to you as a witch, or would you just kind of, just correct them because maybe they're not sure?
Wiccans are witches. The only difference is you can't call a witch who just practices witchcraft a Wiccan, because they're not Wiccan. They don't have any they don't have the Wiccan religious base to their practitioners.
Okay, so not all witches are Wiccans, but all Wiccans are witches?
Yeah, it's kind of like all Wiccans are pagans, but pagans aren't Wiccans.
Okay, so what about warlocks? So you call the male version of Wiccans warlocks then?
No, they're still Wiccans and witches.
Oh wow, okay.
Warlock is an actual perverse term that many male witches actually don't like being called. If they're fairly well studied, you don't call an actual male witch a warlock. You call them a witch.
Interesting. Okay. So you were just talking about there's a god and a goddess when it comes to Wicca. Do you mean like a literal god and goddess, or is it like a metaphor, or does it vary from different belief to different belief?
There's many different pantheons set within Wicca. Like, for instance, Dianics, they don't believe that there's a male version of a god. They believe that it is actual triple goddess instead of a male inclusive. They're just female inclusive. Kind of like a reverse of the Christian monotheistic beliefs, except instead of Father, Son, Holy Spirit is Mother, Daughter, Holy Spirit type thing.
Interesting. And you know what? That actually does make a little bit more sense that it would be coming from the female aspect. The creator of all things, you'd figure it would more or less be a female than a male. And that's just coming from somebody that's totally ignorant of any of this information, so...
If you actually delve into Gnosticism and read the actual Gnostic scriptures, the creation of the world wasn't done by the actual high god. It was done by what we term as his daughter, Sophia. Sophia is hidden within the Bible as wisdom. That's what her name literally translates in Greek to, is wisdom. And she decided to make, without consorting with her god, someone for herself. So when she went to create her partner, her magic spilled out and created the earth and everything like that. She was the actual creator of the earth. And in this process is when she created the demiurge, which is her son, which is acclimated to the Old Testament God. He didn't know that there were other gods. And when he found out that there were other gods and that he was lied to, he turned his hatred towards the people on earth and gave them laws that he knew that they would break, and that he could get back at his mother for lying to him about being the only god.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense, actually. So was this all in the Gnostic texts that were left out of the Bible then?
Yes.
Okay, is that why it was left out of the Bible? Because it kind of,
Yes, that's exactly why it was left out of the Bible. They wanted to create a text, because the Bible really wasn't pressed until around like 1566 something. It was in the 1500s, and it was when the Gutenberg press was invented, and that's when the actual clergy of the Roman Catholic Church got together and edited what they wanted to go in the Bible. From the time that Christ died up into the time that people started actually converting to Christianity, whether it was with their will or against their will, the only people who would read the texts that were written were the clergy. That they were the only ones who knew how to read Latin, because peasants didn't know how to read. So everything that was passed down by word of mouth came from the Roman Catholic clergy.
So what about other texts that were left out of the Bible, like the Book of Enoch and things like that? Are there any tie-ins with that, or is the entire Bible kind of tied in with Wicca? They just kind of cover up or leave certain books out or leave certain information out that people can't find out just from reading the Bible itself?
Well, it's not necessarily tied into Wicca. It's more tied into paganism. Wicca was a religion that was invented in the late 1800s and early 1900s by Gerald Gardner. If you read through the Bible, there are instances in the Bible, and even my husband, who is not a Wiccan, he's not really a Christian, but when he looks at the Bible, he's like, you can so totally tell Jesus was a pagan.
Oh, wow.
He's like for instance, when he fed 5,000 people with two fish and a loaf of bread, that's conjuring. He converted water into wine, that's alchemy. When he healed people, I mean, that's using Reiki right there. Miracles, if he prayed over someone and they were healed, that's a spell right there. I mean, there's just hidden little euphemisms all throughout the Bible. Also, there are like 17 years worth of Jesus' life on earth that are missing from the Bible. They edited out 17 years worth of his life. It went from him being 12 years old when his parents forgot him in a church to him being baptized by John the Baptist.
Right. So you're saying in those 17 years, that was him kind of practicing paganism then?
It could have been him practicing paganism. It could have been anything. I mean, for all we know, it's just like the Grail mysteries with him marrying Mary Magdalene and them having a secret child, Sarah. I mean, there's just so much that was edited out of the Bible that no one will truly ever know what really happened 2,000 years ago.
Right. So you're saying Jesus wasn't just a magic Jew, he was actually practicing paganism, and that could have possibly been, not 100%, but that could have possibly been why he was able to do the things that he was able to do.
And it could also be the reason why he was actually crucified too, because at the time the people who were being crucified were pagans.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that does make sense. I know that they they don't really have too much love for pagans in the Bible. Even Jehovah's Witnesses won't use the cross because it's a pagan symbol.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you about, and like I said, I'm when it comes to Wicca, I don't know very much, so I'm kind of depending on you to tell me if I'm right or wrong in asking certain questions. But when I did a little bit of research before we did this interview, I didn't do very much. I probably should have done more. But I was reading about the goddess and the horned god. Now, I know before the interview you were telling me that there's much more involved with that, but if I just mention the goddess and the horned god, where can we go from there? Or what can you tell me about that?
The horned god is normally symbolized as the god of the hunt. He's the god of the wheel of the year. With that, like I said, there are many other different names for the god of the wheel of the year, and he's just one of the forms. It's more of the fertility with him than what it is with some of the other associations. Him and the Green Man the Green Man's more of fertility of the earth. And the horn god, it's still focused around nature, but it's also the fertility of the goddess too, because of course he impregnates the goddess and he dies, and at Yule is reborn through the baby. That's how the wheel of the year is set up. And one of the perfect examples of being able to actually show this progression is through the actual Holly King and Oak King gods. The Oak King is born at Yule, and he grows, he impregnates the goddess, he marries the goddess, and at the June solstice, the summer solstice, Litha, he dies, and the Holly King steps in, and he is the sage of the year. The sage is the equivalent of a crone. From the solstice of June, we're going into the waning days of the sun. It's the waning of the year. Everything from that point, you start to, the next month and the month after, you're growing your crops. His energy is going into the grounds of the earth to grow the crops, and you harvest him. When you harvest the crops, he's sacrificing all of his energy to you. And he slowly starts to wither away, and at Yule dies and is reborn back into the goddess.
Wow, interesting. So what is Yule, or how do you spell that, actually, if you don't mind me asking?
Yule. It is the
Yule. So it's like a very polytheistic religion then, basically.
Yes, that's one of the issues that a lot of religions cast out, the idea of paganism and everything, is because of how many gods and how many goddesses that people worship when there should only be one in their view.
Do you think maybe in the book of Genesis, when God was speaking and he said, let's make them in our image, that's
Yes, that is my... Whenever I talk to any Christian and they're like, there's only one God, I'm like, pull out your Bible.
Very first chapter, right?
And I opened to Genesis and I was like, explain this one to me. Why does it say, let us create man in our image let us create man if there's only one person? Well, they'll play it off as if, it's the Holy Spirit.
Right, that's what I was going to mention too, right.
But in Judaism, they actually... even though they're a monotheistic religion, the Holy Spirit is acclimated to a female goddess called Shekinah. She is the Holy Spirit.
Wow. There's a bunch of research that I'm going to have to do after this interview. You know what? Normally I ask this at the end of the interview, but Kasey, would you ever come back on when I'm a little less ignorant of Wicca?
Oh, of course I would. I love teaching.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, just jumping to a different subject here. How do you feel about other religious ideologies or other religious beliefs? Not just Christianity. We'll step away from the Bible or from the Abrahamic religions right now. How do you feel about religions like Buddhism or Hinduism?
I believe Buddhism and actually Hinduism is kind of paganistic too, because they do have more than one god also. But I studied a lot into a lot of religions while I was doing my soul search. And Buddhism and Zen and Taoist, all of religions, they're very peaceful religions. Buddhism is more, some people call it a religion, some people say it's not a religion, it's spirituality. And a lot of people flock to Buddhism for spirituality, and they're not tied to a religion, they're just one with the divine.
Would you even say that Buddhism, well, some, I guess, certain forms of Buddhism anyway, can be considered like an atheistic religion because they have no gods?
That's one way you could look at it. I mean, it's really just spirituality. You're not concerned over learning about a god. You're really concerned about yourself and ascending your soul is basically what it's really tied into, is reaching that ascension point to where you can further yourself higher in the planes, the seven celestial planes.
Okay. So Hinduism, you said that it kind of plays into paganism a little bit just because they have more than one god, but can you go a little bit more in detail for me?
With Hinduism, they have the male and the female god that they pray to. I'm not well versed with Hinduism, but if I'm not mistaken, Hinduism, the paganism, is branched out further than what most people actually see it tied into. Most people, when they do their research, they just solely rely on what Wikipedia says or something like that.
That's me, yeah.
But when you get down to the bare facts of a religion, polytheistic religions are more pagan and can be loosely associated with paganism, just for the simple fact that they have more than one god and they have more than one goddess.
Okay, so would you say that, because even Christianity or Judaism is a monotheistic, but you're kind of saying that paganism has its finger dipped into every religion in some way, shape, or form then?
Yeah, even though Christianity or Islam or Judaism is monotheistic, they still have Father, Son, Holy Ghost.
Right, and you know what, I've even heard some people say that Judaism, or like the Hebrews, they started out as a polytheistic religion, and then they kind of
they did
the text, or
they did. They were a polytheistic religion. Their God was a jealous God. The God of the Old Testament was a jealous God and did not want them worshiping any other idols other than Him. If there were any other idols, why would He put that in the Bible?
Right. You know what? I've actually mentioned that several times before. He talks about other gods as if they're actually real. He doesn't talk about them like...
I mean, if there are no other gods, then why introduce the fault into the minds of the followers? Why lay down the law, you can't worship anyone but me, but I'm the one and only? That there gives you leeway as to, well, some Christians will want to argue, that means that he says not to worship Satan, which really, Satan's
not a god.
No. Satan is actually arguable as imposition of the church, that the church implicated in the Bible.
Oh, wow. That's another one.
A lot of people try to tie Satan and Lucifer together. When you read in I believe it's in the book of Isaiah that talks about the fall of Lucifer. It's not really the fall of Lucifer because Lucifer's name is translated as light bringer, light bearer, and they are talking to the son of the dawn, not to the light bearer.
Wow. I've also heard them try and say that the Antichrist is also Satan, and I'm pretty sure that those aren't the same thing either. Correct me if I'm wrong on that as well, but...
The Antichrist is supposed to be consorting with Satan. He's supposed to be Satan, not really Satan manifest, but he's Satan's number one follower.
Oh, he's his homie then.
Yeah, he's his homie.
Okay.
It's like in The Stand, basically.
The Stand? Like
yeah, you know, like Stephen King's The Stand.
Right.
He has one person that is his actual vessel.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So it's like his, so yeah, like you were saying, sort of Satan incarnated on Earth.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Well, you know, kind of follow along the same lines as Supernatural when, you know, Sam was supposed to be the vessel for Lucifer. I mean, every type of movie that you watch that revolves around anything like that, they all have the same meanings behind the vessel of Satan being the Antichrist.
So let's jump onto something else now. Spells and incantations. What kind of spells and incantations is there in witchcraft? I know that's a very vague question. Just in general, can you give me anything for that?
Yes, there's tons of spells. You can make up your own spell for whatever you want, as long as your will is invested in the spell. There's money spells, prosperity spells, abundance spells, there's banishing spells, there's love spells. There's a multitude of spells. And
what about like murder spells?
That's more baneful magic. It's still considered witchcraft, but it's the darker side of witchcraft.
I was actually going to have a guest on my show named E.A. Coetting. Are you familiar with him?
No.
On his YouTube videos, he himself, and he talks about black magic all the time. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust monks. Don't trust any religion. What I'm getting from it is him saying, don't trust anybody. Give me your money. Trust me. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or ever heard anything about that, or maybe that's something you just want to stay away from.
I haven't heard about that, but I actually have had people message me on my spell magic page that I have up and ask me. I've had one person ask me if I would do a spell to kill someone, and I was like, no. No can do.
Wow. Do you feel like that if you would have said yes, it would have been possible, though?
Baneful magic, there's different levels of baneful magic, and you can torment someone into dying. I mean, it won't happen right away. They won't just drop dead, but you can torment someone into dying through baneful magic.
Ugh. And we don't want that. Maybe we'll get off this subject. It's very negative. Sorry I brought it up.
Oh, it's fine.
Okay, so can you give me some examples of some spells that you have done that have worked for you?
I've done a banishing spell. I've banished the negative energy that's been around me, and actually I have a YouTube video above it where the flame burned and continued to burn around the herbs. It would dip and go out, and then it would come back, and I took it as a very fortunate sign. I've done a lot of spells.
Can these be found in your book too?
Yes, I actually did it to show that the spells in the book would work.
Oh, wow, interesting. Onto your book for a second. I assume it's not just a book full of spells. I assume that in the book you kind of explain what Wicca is and what magic is to teenagers and young adults then?
Yes, I have. I have broken up segments in the book. Introduce everything into it, and then I get into the basics of the craft, which is not Wiccan at all, but some people choose to, some people choose not to actually cast a consecrated circle, create their sacred space, and cast a circle and everything like that. I explain the process of knowing when you're feeling the energies of the circle, how you know it's a properly cast circle and everything like that. I didn't provide a lot of spells. I provided 3 hoodoo spells for witchcraft, and I provided maybe I think 9 spells for moon magic, and I have a new dark moon ritual a full moon ritual, and a Sabbath ritual that can be used for any of the Sabbaths. And then I had an example of a money spell. But that's all the spells that I really put. Everything else in there is really just explaining everything.
Explaining the basics of Wicca and Trinitarian magic.
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. Now, you mentioned hoodoo. Is that not, that's like West African magic, isn't it?
Hoodoo, don't be confused with voodoo. Voodoo is actually West African magic.
Oh, voodoo is?
Yes.
Oh, maybe
Hoodoo was really, it's more of a Caribbean. Initially in the United States, it started in Louisiana and Florida, more southern states that were inhabited with, the French people that lived there instead. Hoodoo is really, it's more of a tradition that's passed down through families, unless people want to pick up a book and actually learn about hoodoo. More than likely, the hoodoo practitioner that you seek out for help has been taught this from childhood up, from their mother, who was taught from her mother, and everything like that. Like I said earlier, it can be used with any religion because it's not an actual religion. It's just a practitioner. Like, there's Christian hoodoo people. Can't really mix Wicca with hoodoo because it goes against the Wiccan Rede. There's a lot of religions that use hoodoo for the magic side of their life.
Okay, is that like a personal thing though? Like, there's probably no churches that exist where you can walk in and, start talking about hoodoo because they kind of match up with Christianity at the same time. Well, not match up, but you can use it with Christianity. So, like, if you were to walk into a church and start talking about hoodoo, I'm pretty sure they would, tell you to shut the fuck up because they really don't want to hear about it. Or would it depend on what area you're in?
It depends on what area you're in. It depends on what church you walk in. A lot of churches, any type of magic at all, they frown upon.
Right, yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, yeah.
But there are churches that are there's actual people who go to that church that are hoodoo practitioners. And it's more, you really wouldn't take it to church, but you would have your own type of setup at your house for any type of rituals that you need to do for someone.
Is that a frog I hear in the background?
Yes, that was a frog.
Let's talk about this morning. The PC police are at it again because there's Wiccans and pagans out there, right? Probably, I don't know if they make up a large percentage of the population.
I do. They don't.
They don't?
No.
They don't.
No, they don't.
And at the
there are more Zoroastrians here than there are Wiccans.
But apparently maybe at the University of Missouri they make up such an exorbitant part of their population at the University of Missouri that they need to have all of their holidays now recognized.
And they have a ton of holidays. Now, the bad side of Wiccanism is it's obviously a form of witchcraft, but the upside is you get a ton of holidays. 20% of all school holidays, as described by the University of Missouri, are Wiccan holidays. 20% of all.
Well, and this is a statement from the University of Missouri. This is why they say they're doing this. The information about the Wiccan and pagan holidays has been in the guide since last fall. Keep in mind, this is not intended just for faculty. This is an informational guide for anyone across campus. And again, that's from the University of Missouri.
And it's interesting, we had Tammy Bruce on the show earlier this morning, and this, she says, probably wouldn't happen in any other country. Listen.
I think that this is, again, not about elevating anyone else. It's about pagans and Wiccans being used for a political agenda to downgrade what's important to a majority of Americans. I think that this is an anti-tradition action. I think pagans and Wiccans should be very angry about being used by the establishment. And I think that there should be a backlash of, look, the tradition in this country is what allows people to be pagans and Wiccans and to enjoy their lives freely. Good luck doing that in any other country.
Right, and somehow if you're a Christian in this country, too, that you can't say Merry Christmas to somebody or else you're trying to push your Christian faith on other people.
Right, but you get 20 holidays now if you're a Wiccan I guess that's the one to go with, right? I mean, that's certainly the one. If you're going to pick one, go with the one with the most holidays.
Except any religion whose most sacred day is Halloween, I just can't take seriously. I mean, call me a bigot. I'm not, not offering an editorial against Wiccanism.
Well, that would be more the pagan side of it, right? Would be Halloween.
How many Wiccans can name every Wiccan holiday? Or 50% of Wiccan holidays?
I don't know a single Wiccan.
I will say this, because, we're journalists, and I have covered this. I actually went because there was some backlash a number of years ago against Wiccans, and I remember I had to do a story, and I went and interviewed a number of Wiccans, and they say, look, we are the most peaceful individuals. We don't practice crazy things. We're just of the earth. We believe in...
I think that's right. Every Wiccan I've ever known is either a compulsive Dungeons & Dragons player or is a middle-aged, twice-divorced older woman living in a rural area who works as a midwife.
And likes a lot of incense.
Yeah, totally.
Yep, yeah, that's right. Let us know if you've met any Wiccans out there. Let us know. Friends at foxnews.com.
Welcome back to the Rosco Show. I am joined by the lovely Iris. Iris, how are you?
I'm good.
You're good. You're always good. And we have another quiz for you this week. It's called You Don't Know Jack About Witches. And before we start this quiz, I just want to state I'm probably not going to know very many of these answers. Therefore, Iris probably isn't going to know very many of these answers. So, here we go. Question number 1. Blessed be is what to a witch? A, what we say after we burp. B, a cool insect. C, a greeting or goodbye saying. Or D, the start of a spell. What do you think, Iris?
Start of a spell?
Start of a spell? This one tells you if you're right or wrong right after, too. So let's see. Start of a spell. Incorrect. It is a greeting or a goodbye saying. Damn it. It's okay. Number 2. Witches are known for gardening at night. What instruments do they use to cut their plant friends with? A, their hands. B, scissors. C, a bowline. Or D, an athame.
Scissors?
Scissors? Incorrect. A bowline. I have no idea what a bowline is. Here we go. It's a white-handled, consecrated ritual knife that's only used for cutting. There you go. It tells you exactly why either way. Next question. He's thought of as the father of modern Wicca. And I know this one. A, Pope Boniface VIII. B, Aleister Crowley. C, Gerald B. Gardner. Or D, Pope John Paul I.
Gerald B. Gardner.
You know what? I already know you're right, so let's collect it. Correct! Gardner died before he could see the full results of his writings. The Gardnerian tradition, a name coined after his death, continues to be the dominant tradition of modern witchcraft. Good job, Iris! Next question. Witches of old and new alike are often depicted sky-clad. What does this mean? A, naked. B, homely. C, evil-looking. Or D, unhappy.
Evil looking.
Really? That's rude.
Sorry.
You just offended a whole bunch of witches.
What?
Okay, evil looking. Incorrect. Sky-clad means clad only with the sky, so naked.
Sorry.
Damn. Alright, next question. If you're using a baneful herb in your spells, what is it supposed to provide? A, a terrible smell. B, greater power. C, positive effects like giving you luck. Or D, negative effects like sending something away.
Greater power.
Greater power. Incorrect. Negative effects like sending something away. Baneful means bad. So baneful magic is magic that acts toward an ending or a banishing, something that can be quite a positive long-term effect, but it's considered a negative effect in magic. We're not doing so good, Iris.
I know, I suck.
Next question. CE is another way of saying A, AD, B, BC, C, EG, or D, EX. Sounds like we're just going through like a weird alphabet, but what's your answer?
AD.
AD? Correct!
Good.
CE means Common Era. It's the non-religious equivalent of AD in the year of our Lord. BCE before Common Era, or BC before Christ. So wow, we got 2 correct so far. Awesome. Next question. This Wiccan Sabbath holiday is usually celebrated on February 2nd? Is it A, the Yule, B, the Lughnasadh, C, the Beltane, or D, the Imbolc?
Beltane.
The Beltane? This is just a complete guess, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Oh, incorrect. It's the Imbolc. The early spring Great Sabbath is often known by its Christian equivalent, Candlemas. The name is a Gaelic meaning in the belly, the first stirring in the womb of Mother Earth. Whatever that means. Next question. A hand fasting is what kind of ritual? Is it A, friendship, B, sex, C, none of these, or D, a wedding?
None of these.
None of these? Incorrect. It's probably sex. Let's see. Oh, it's a wedding. Oh, you should have picked wedding. Yeah, a hand parting would be a divorce as well. Interesting. Next question. If someone was talking about the blood moon, what month's moon would they be referring to? Is it A, June, B, October, C, August, or D, November?
October?
October. You know what? That would make sense. Correct! October. It was common back in the day to sacrifice animals during this time to assure good harvesting for the winter months ahead. And of course, we know they do not sacrifice animals any longer. Oh man, I had to pronounce this. Next question. Malleus Maleficarum is also known as what? A, the Grand Grimoire, B, the Book of the Dead, C, none of these, or D, this is a trick question.
Trick question.
Trick question? They're witches, they can be tricky. Let's see. No! The correct answer was none of these. Written by two Dominican inquisitors, Hendrik Kramer and James Sprenger, and published in 1486. It is also known as the Witch's Hammer. Many European countries use this book, or a modified edition of it, as the model for conducting witchcraft rituals. Or trials. How did I mix up rituals with trials? Next question. The witch's god is commonly referred to as the blank to the goddess. The witch's god is commonly referred to as the blank to the goddess. Is it A, servant, B, consort, C, helper, or D, plaything?
Consort?
The consort? Yes. Correct. Consort, they're equal in our eyes. Perfect. Next question. Man, I can't even pronounce half these words. Tasseomancy? Tasseomancy, I don't know. Is the art of reading animals, A, animals, B, wind patterns, C, water, or D, tea leaves?
Wind patterns?
Wind patterns? Ooh, incorrect. The correct answer is tea leaves. Also, coffee grounds. Interesting. Next question. Arcana is Latin for what? A, witch, B, secrets, C, witchcraft, or D, hex?
Witchcraft.
Witchcraft. Incorrect. The correct answer is, when it pops up here for us, secrets. As in the major and minor arcana of the tarot deck. A coven is a what? A witch from out of town, B, a young witch, C, a non-witch, or D, an old witch?
Old witch.
An old witch? Yeah. Incorrect. It's probably going to be young witch. Oh no, it's a non-witch. The word is an old Scottish term for a mason who learned the trade without serving an apprenticeship. Cowens are generally not allowed to attend circles. Many witches seldom use the word anymore, as they just plain don't like it. Next question. Goat's foot is a herb known to witches as A, ashweed, B, wormswort, C, cranesbill, or D, amber mandrake?
Cranesbill? Is that what you said?
Cranesbill? Ooh, incorrect. The answer is ashweed. One of the many reasons the general populace thought witches cooked with stuff nicknamed Eye of Frog and Bat's Wing and the like. Huh, I see. Next question. In Celtic myth, December 23rd is ruled by what tree? Those darn Celts always worship trees. I love them so. A. Willow. B. Birch. C. Alder. Or D. None of these.
Alder.
Alder. Incorrect. It's okay. I don't know the answers to any of these either. The correct answer is none of these. It's the day of the proverbial year and a day in the earliest courts of law. It is ruled by no trees. Next question. The blood moon commonly occurs during October. Oh, that's just it. The blood moon commonly occurs during October. True or false? True? Didn't we just go through this and they said it was false? Oh, no, it was true. I wasn't paying attention. Damn it. Named such due to the slaughtering of livestock and other animals before the cold winter months set in. Interesting. Next question. Earth, in its planetary aspect, is commonly associated with what tarot card? Is it A, the Tower, B, Strength, C, the Wheel of Life, or D, none of these?
Strength.
Strength. Incorrect. The correct answer is none of these. The Earth, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto have no tarot correspondence. Yeah, maybe we should just... Yeah, good call. Next question. Hecate best describes which aspect of the goddess in popular pagan thought? Hecate best describes which aspect of the goddess in popular pagan thought? Is it A, crone, B, infant, C, young adult, or D, mother?
Mother.
Excuse me?
Mother.
Mother. Incorrect. The answer is crone, the great moon goddess. You didn't know that?
No.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Next question. You remember the Muses, right? You remember the Muses, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. How many were there? 9, 7, 3, or 6?
7.
7? Are you sure about that? Sure it's not 3 or 9? Could be 6. 7, okay. Oh, the answer was 9. I'm not gonna read. There's like 9 names here that I can't pronounce, so just believe me. Next question. Most modern Wiccans consider the true meaning of warlock to be what? A young male witch, a liar or thief, king of the witches, or an old male witch?
King of the witches.
King of the witches. You know what? I'm just gonna say a liar or a thief because from what I heard, they don't like the name warlock. So, oh, it was a liar or a thief, but you were wrong.
No, I said that.
Oh, is that what you said? It comes from the old Anglo-Saxon word wayloga, which means traitor, deceiver, or liar. It is not a kind or neutral reference to male witches. There you go. Next question. We only got 3 left. What's a labrys? Is it an axe? An old saying meaning powerful? A small earthen shelter or hut? Or any part of a book or page with secret words on it?
An axe.
An axe? Correct! Holy! The double-bladed axe of Crete, often used as a symbol for the moon goddess because of the double crescent of the blades. There you go. Next question. When witches get together in a circle, we call the corners. How many corners are there in our circles? There's no corners in a circle. But let's just guess. Is it 4, 1, 2, or 3?
3?
3? You know, I would have said 5 because of the pentagram and, you know, it's in a circle. But, okay, we'll go with 3. We'll see. I know there's no 5. That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of confused. Oh, the answer is 4, which makes sense. There's usually 4 corners, and the corners refer to north, south, east, and west. Personally, this is my favorite question. I always thought it was cool. That was just me reading. That wasn't my opinion. Second last question. The 3 weird sisters are from which Shakespeare play? I know this one. You do? Is it King Lear, The Tempest, Macbeth, or A Midsummer Night's Dream?
Macbeth.
Macbeth. And you know what? I know you're right before I even select it. Correct, Macbeth, probably the best-known witches in literature. Rosemary Ellen Guiley points out that this play is one of the most influential literary works to help establish the negative stereotype of the witch as an ugly old hag. And final question. What ritual is usually only performed by a hand-fasted or likewise couple? The high rite, the big rite, the holy rite, or the great rite?
The great rite.
The great rite. I'm going to say the high rite, but let's select great. You were right! Oh my gosh. A powerful, magical rite of sexual intercourse that pays homage to the male and female polarities that exist in all things. Sexy. Let's see the results. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 25 right. We really we do not know our witches. Damn it. Alright guys, that was kind of a long one, so let's just hop right into Roscoe's Bible readings right here on The Rosco Show. Check it out. Sarai could not have children. She said to her husband, Abram, God will not allow me to have children. Sleep with my maidservant Hagar. I will take her children as my own, and perhaps we can build a family through her. Abram agreed. He married Hagar and slept with her. Hagar became pregnant and began to despise Sarai. Sarai said to Abram, It's your fault I feel terrible. I gave you my maidservant Hagar, and now that she knows she is pregnant with your child, she hates me. May God judge between you and I. Your maidservant is your responsibility, said Abram. Do whatever you want with her. So Sarai treated Hagar very poorly, and she left. An angel found Hagar near a spring in the desert and said to her, Hagar, where did you come from, and where are you going? I'm running away from my master Sarai, said Hagar. Go back to your master and submit to her, said the angel. I will increase your descendants so greatly that there will be too many to count. You will give birth to a son, and you will name him Ishmael. God knows of your sadness. Your son will be a strong, stubborn, wild man. He will be against everyone, and everyone will be against him. He will live in hostility toward his brothers. Hagar thought the name Ishmael was the name of the angel that spoke to her. She said, You are the God who sees me. I have now seen the one that sees me. In the place where the angel spoke to Hagar, near the spring in the desert, there is now a well they call the Well of the Living One who sees me. Hagar gave birth to a son, and Abram named him Ishmael. Abram fathered Ishmael when he was 86 years old.
This is Stephen the Plebeian, and you're listening to The Rosco Show.
Welcome back to The Rosco Show. So you want to talk about traditional biblical marriage. If your wife can't have kids, it's okay if you have sex with her slave. Oh, as long as you marry her first, sorry. It's okay for you to marry your wife's slave and have sex with her, as long as she can't have children. And then it's cool if you take that child and make it you and your wife's child. Interesting. No, honestly, though, this story that we just went through in Roscoe's Bible readings is one of my favorite from the Old Testament. I find it very beautiful for some reason. Specifically the part where she says, You are the God who sees me. I have now seen the one that sees me. I don't know why. I think there's a deeper meaning to that. Maybe there's not. But I like to think that there's a deeper meaning to that verse there. It's very beautiful, yes. All right, guys, not much for this part of the show, so let's get right into Spidey Steph's segment. Take it away, Steph.
Hey guys, it's Spidey Steph. Today I'm going to be talking about dun 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 leaky gut syndrome. Oh no! Did you know that poor gut health is responsible for at least 90% of chronic health symptoms and conditions? Everything starts in our gut. That's why I always try to say in my videos how important gut health is. If you have any kind of issues, it probably stemmed from the gut. Leaky gut affects the whole body, and leaky gut is what I have. Now, when I tell people I have leaky gut, they're like, Ew, do you have to wear a diaper? God, that was one time! One time! Does that mean you leak from your gut all the time? And I'm just like,
Get out of my fucking car!
I don't blame them. Leaky gut is said to be a medical mystery, and doctors don't know enough about our gut, which is our biggest immune system organ, so it's kind of important. And I feel like more research should be done. But regardless, leaky gut is a real thing. It can also be called increased intestinal permeability. And what happens with leaky gut is you have factors in your life that can contribute to you having a leaky gut, like poor diet, eating too much sugar, consuming too much alcohol, chronic stress, a bacterial imbalance. If you were even born C-section, this could put you at risk for leaky gut. Excessive use of NSAIDs, toxin overload. There are so many factors, and if you develop leaky gut, it's likely that a lot of these factors have happened to you, and that's why you now have leaky gut. What is leaky gut? How does it work? Well, leaky gut is when the lining of your digestive tract opens up the holes bigger and lets toxins through that aren't supposed to be going through your body, and your body reacts like it's basically an allergic reaction to the foods you're putting in your body. So a huge sign of leaky gut is food sensitivities. That's how I personally found out about my leaky gut. I was having all kinds of other symptoms, mind you. I have anxiety, I used to have depression, I was having panic attacks a lot, I was under a lot of stress, a lot of abdominal issues, stomach aches, fatigue, you name it, I had it. Then my naturopath doctor suggested I get tested for food sensitivities, and I came back allergic to everything. The lining of the digestive tract is kind of like a net with small holes that only allow certain substances through it. When you have leaky gut, this lining becomes damaged and the holes get bigger, and then toxins and things that aren't supposed to go through there, causing all kinds of symptoms. You can have bloating, gas, food sensitivities, aches, pain, chronic fatigue, thyroid issues, autoimmune disorders, moodiness, anxiety and stress, sinus issues, arthritis, IBS, and the list goes on. Now you're like, well, I have one or more of these things. How do I know if it's leaky gut? I would recommend going to get a food sensitivity test, and if you come back sensitive to a lot of foods, then you know that it's leaky gut. And you'll find that if you change your eating habits, that those symptoms will start to improve. Am I completely improved? No. Have I strayed off the path of healthy eating a few times? Yes. Do I always avoid my food allergies? No. And this is something I really want to work on, because when you have leaky gut, you are more susceptible to getting an autoimmune disorder such as Crohn's or fibromyalgia, etc., etc. And it's likely if you do have one of these autoimmune disorders that you first did have leaky gut. And you can also repair and help decrease the symptoms of your autoimmune disorder by changing your diet, being more healthy. Trust me, I feel like it would really help a lot of people out there who don't understand that. Tight junctions in the gut that control what passes through the lining of the small intestine don't work properly and let substances leak into the bloodstream. People with celiac and Crohn's experience this. Okay, I think I have leaky gut. How do I repair this? Calm down, first of all. Stress, huge factor. You want to first and foremost change your diet. Supplement with probiotics and L-glutamine, and try to live a healthier lifestyle. Leaky gut is not fun. If your gut's unhealthy, then you're gonna be unhealthy, whether you realize it or not. I know there's some people who can go to fucking McDonald's and eat 10 cheeseburgers and be like, hey, I'm fine all night. But I go there and I take a bite and I have diarrhea for the rest of the fucking day. Which is part of the reason why I will never set step in a fast food place anymore. Eating shitty will make your gut shitty. And if you don't even know it, you might have symptoms. Do you find yourself in a shitty mood every now and then? It might be because your gut sucks. Think about it. I don't know, guys. Just try eating healthier and see what it does for you. You might be surprised. You might not even know that you can be an even better person than you are. I shouldn't say a better person, but feel better than you are. You might find that you have more energy, you might find that you're happier, you're laughing more, you might find that your anxiety is gone. My panic attacks decreased by 95% when I changed my diet and started paying attention to my food intolerances. That tells me something right there. I wish I had more of like a radio voice.
Leaky gut contributes to a lot of factors such as a shitty fucking life.
Does this sound sexy to you guys? You remember that game Red Rover, Red Rover? That's what leaky gut is like, except all the children break through.
Humans have long been fascinated with stories of witches and wizards, like Harry Potter, Once Upon a Time's evil Queen Regina, and Magic Mike. So it's not surprising that the number of practicing Wiccans is on the rise. And although Wicca is seen as mysterious, dark, and evil by outsiders, it's got a number of similarities to more established, accepted religions. Wicca developed in the early 1900s and was popularized in England in the 1950s by former civil servant and amateur archaeologist Gerald Gardner, which, if you ask us, sounds eerily similar to another religion popularized in the 1950s by a charismatic science fiction writer named L. Ron Hubbard. And although it's hard to believe this guy was into paganism, what with the clean-cut demeanor and totally normal haircut, it's true. But where Scientology supposedly deals with science and the inner workings of the brain, Wicca is all about nature and has its roots in ancient pagan practices. Wicca has no governing body and no core text, so there's a lot of variation in what individual Wiccans believe and how Wicca is practiced. Generally speaking, however, Wiccans believe in powerful divine forces coursing through nature and the universe, forces which manifest themselves in two main deities, the moon goddess and the horned god, although Wiccans recognize many other deities as well. To communicate with these forces, Wiccans hold rituals and practice magic. Although Wicca has been dramatized and demonized by Hollywood and conservative America, their meetings, like this full moon ceremony, seem no more exciting or outlandish than your average Christian service. Darker with more candles, yes, but without the lightning bolts and puffs of smoke we've been led to expect. Many Wiccans practice solo, while others gather in small congregations of 13 people called covens. Ceremony, dress, lighting of candles, offering prayers. Where have we seen this before? Oh, just every Catholic church service ever. Although there is no real Bible in the religion, Wiccans do adhere to a moral code called the Wiccan Rede. The Rede states, "In it harm none. Do what ye will." Basically, as long as it's not hurting anyone, go for it. Wiccans also believe in the threefold law, which states that whatever you do, for good or evil, will come back to you threefold, not unlike the concept of karma in Hinduism or Buddhism. And although those who practice witchcraft have throughout history been demonized, there are many more traditional religions that have or have had mystical or magical elements. Jewish magic was practiced between 500 BC and 400 AD, and Sufis to this day explore the inner mystical dimensions of Islam. Even what we think of as mainstream Christianity is full of unexplained phenomena and rituals that can seem a little magical. Miracle workers and faith healers claim to be able to say a few special words in the form of a prayer to heal the afflicted. What's so different between that and a Wiccan ceremony?
Welcome back. I think I've made clear in the past I'm not a newsman. I'm not very good at reporting the news. I just kind of watch The Daily Show, and I just kind of check out the news online every now and then. But there's two big things that are happening at this moment in the news. That is, if you're listening to this episode the day it comes out or the day after, whatever. As long as you're not listening to this in like 2016 or something, which if you are, awesome. That means that I still have listeners. Anyways, Rachel Dolezal, I think that's how you pronounce her name, is posing as an African-American woman even though she is not African-American. I can see why people are pissed off because she's lying about it, but it seems like she genuinely wants to be an African-American woman. So, to be honest with you, I really don't see the big deal here. I mean, like if there was a transgender person who identified as female and they were part of the NAACP, which Rachel is, and they were to ask, are you a man or a woman? If they were to say woman, for them to say, no, you're a liar. You're not a woman, you're a man. I mean, to me, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, I understand it's not the same thing, but it's very similar. I mean, just let her be who she wants to be. I doubt she's doing this to further her career unless she is, and that's the only reason, but I don't think that's the only reason she's doing it. Maybe she just genuinely wants to be African American. Another big thing that's happening in the news right now is this the story of this church getting shot up. Somebody walked into a church and killed 9 people. I don't know the full story. I don't normally cuss on the show too much. I mean, I know I have in the past, but I just want to say fuck the Confederate flag. Fuck what it stands for. You must feel like a big man walking into a church where people are essentially defenseless. You know, they're just there to do their thing, and you must feel like a big man walking in and shooting everybody. Asshole. That's all I really have to say about that. So, like I said, I'm not really a newsman, and I don't give my opinion too often on the show, but when it comes to something like this, I think we can all agree, not cool. So anyways, we're going to get into the second half of the interview with Kasey The Witch right after these commercials, so stick around.
Bit heavy on the fake tan, hey, Carrot?
Oh, good one, spinach.
I'm not spinach.
Spinach.
Guys, it's about what's on the inside.
Sorry, Carrot.
Sorry, celery.
Fruit-based veggies. Nicer.
GC Raw.
Do you keep your doubts about religion to yourself? Do you have questions about God that you never ask? We have a better way. American Atheists offers a diverse community for people exploring reality religion-free. American Atheists is leading the charge for equality and the separation of religion and government. Join the most vibrant atheist community in the country. Your voice matters because equality matters.
Rituals. Once again, I'm totally ignorant of the subject, but is there a difference between like Wiccan rituals and like spells and things like that, or can you explain what the difference is, or just explain what it is in general for me?
A spell is simple magic. When you're doing a ritual, the rituals that we have written up are, like I said, they're for the Sabbats. They're for different phases of the moon and everything like that. During the full moon, you are honoring the goddess in her full embodiment. Each ritual has a different use. Like, if you're doing a Sabbat ritual, you are honoring one of the days of the year on the Wiccan wheel of the year. If you're doing a full moon ritual, you're honoring that specific moon during that month. The new dark moon rituals, not many people do full-blown new or dark moon rituals, but I included one I created myself in that book for people. I know the title says teenagers and young adults, but it actually can be used for anybody new to the craft. I just kind of targeted teenagers and young adults because they're left out of the loop a lot.
Right, so it would probably be perfect for somebody like me who really has, no idea when it comes to magic and Wicca and things like that. So is there any specific items or anything that you would do for these rituals then?
I have a list of correspondences for the Sabbath rituals and a list of correspondences for the full moon rituals that tell you what colors you need, what stones you need, what plants, what herbs, what oils, what kind of food or drink to bring. For the newer dark moon, I tell you what items you need to bring because the new dark moon has different energies than what the full moon does. So you have to acclimate your spells towards what kind of working you're wanting to do under the new moon or the dark moon.
The color black, I notice, is very popular among Wiccans. Maybe not where you are, but do you always have to incorporate dark colors into these rituals, or does it really matter? Does it vary?
Dark colors are more for the newer dark moon. During the full moon, we have, in the Sabbath, it's bright colors, like greens, reds, yellows. It's not all dark. A lot of people associate dark with Wicca, but it's really not. Each month has a specific purpose for rituals and for workings to be done, and you kind of assimilate the colors to that type of working.
Right, okay, so it does vary then, I guess, from ritual to ritual.
Yeah.
So not all Wiccans walk around wearing, black clothing all the time and black nail polish and all that. That's kind of a stereotype then?
That's goth. Goths are not witches.
No, I know. It's just like, well, like, for example, you mentioned the movie The Craft. In that movie, they walk around, they're wearing dark clothing and all that, but okay. Now, you were saying that there's different types of Wicca. So, almost be considered like different denominations of it? Would you say that?
They call them pantheons.
Pantheons, okay.
It's like denominations within, the Christian world, but they're called pantheons. There's a wide range of pantheons. Actual named paths. There's the Alexandrian path, the Dianic path. My mind's going blank. There's the Gardnerian path.
Which one are you?
Trinitarian.
You're the Trinitarian. I guess that would make sense. It's okay. So have you ever had any negative feedback because of your Wiccan beliefs?
Oh, yes. I actually had some very argumentative opinions placed against myself yesterday. I was called a bad mother for writing the book and publishing the book, and that they felt sorry for my kids, and that they had to grow up with a mother like me, which I do not practice my beliefs in front of my children. They do not partake of my ceremonies or my rituals until they reach the age to learn what it is, and if they're interested in it, then yes. If they're not, it don't bother me. But I've had people attack me over my beliefs. I've actually had Wiccans, pagans, and other religions alike all attack the tradition that we write for, because they say it doesn't fit within any of the beliefs, which, I mean, if you break down the bare structure of it, it all fits.
It's kind of ironic, too. So, you don't have to get into this if you don't want to, but the people that were attacking you, were they Christians themselves?
Yes, they were.
Do you see any difference between you practicing your beliefs in front of your children and them possibly bringing children to church with them or teaching them about Jesus and things like that?
That's one of my issues with people. I mean, I know it's their own business, it's their own family business, but if they look at me and view me as a bad parent for thrusting Wicca or paganism down my child's throat, then what makes them any different than thrusting their own beliefs down theirs? When I'm at home, I don't really speak of gods and goddesses out loud or anything. I mean, I chat with my co-author on Facebook and everything like that, but I don't sit down and I don't look at my daughter and tell her there's a god and there's a goddess. Don't believe anything else that you hear. My child will learn about religion in her own due time. I'm not going to force her into any religion, whether it be mine or someone else's. It will be completely her choice, or his choice. I have 2 children, but he's only 2, so it's not really a debate with him right now.
Right. Well, is your daughter, is she old enough to know that you at least are a Wiccan, even if you don't discuss it or talk about it around her?
No, she's 4.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that's, yeah, okay. You know, I'm really sorry to hear that. It always sucks when people get persecuted for their beliefs, especially when they're not really doing anything negative or they're not doing anything wrong. They're just kind of practicing something that they believe. When I think about that specifically, I think about Christians trying to ban gay marriage and things like that. I mean, actions do hurt, but some beliefs, you know, none of the actions that that you're doing are hurting anybody, yourself or others, or, you know, it's just their own ideas or it's their own biases that they've formed around it. So yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that. That always sucks.
I'm kind of an activist for, you know, promoting gay marriage and gay rights and everything. My husband's brother is gay. I shared a photo on Facebook the other day that was circulating around. If the sanctity of gay marriages bothers Christians so much, then why aren't they worried about the sanctity of the marriage when it comes to adultery and divorce?
Right, exactly. Or you know what? Why aren't they worried about wearing, mixed fabrics or eating shellfish or things like that as well? Because that's right alongside the gay issue in the Old Testament anyways. So you were talking about spells, and feel free to say no if you don't want to answer this question, but how easy is it for you to get a spell across to somebody? Like, could you sit here right now and tell me how I could do a spell here from home?
I could, yes.
And not just for me, but for my listeners, so that they can maybe try at home?
A simple spell beginning spell. I always like to introduce a money spell. Everybody wants more money.
Hells yeah.
Green candles, cinnamon, vanilla, and wintergreen mixed in a carrier oil. If you buy cinnamon oil, wintergreen oil, and vanilla oil, it's called Fast Luck and Money Oil. And you take your green candle and you anoint the green candle with the oil. You can anoint yourself with the oil, but sometimes they don't recommend it because it has cinnamon in it, and cinnamon can irritate the skin. So you got to make sure that the mixture that you're using isn't pure cinnamon, and test it on yourself to make sure you won't get irritated, because it'll burn and do that, because you can get in your eyes and burn. You need just to do a basic spell. All you need is a candle. You can anoint it with oil for an extra boost. And I actually promote in my book for people to try, because I always see online, can you give me a spell? Can you give me a spell? Write your own spell. Put your own words on paper. That is what I try to promote. But I gave them a money spell to give them a boost. And right offhand, I can't tell you which day of the week, but you can perform it on a day of a week to boost it too. The one part of the spell that I have in the book is money, money, come to me, money, money, what I need. And
catchy?
Yeah, it's catchy. If you kind of make a chant, it's easier to remember.
So what are we doing with this? So we light the candle. We have all the oils and the cinnamon and all that good stuff. What are we doing? We just doing that chant, sitting down in front of the candle and doing the...
You're investing your will into that candle. You're willing that candle to make your plea. What you're doing, it's no different than praying. People say, oh, my prayers have come true and everything like that. Praying and doing spells is no different. There's no difference in it.
Okay. Can we say we're meditating on the candle then? With that?
Yes, you can meditate on you don't, if you don't want to chant something, you can sit there and meditate in your head, putting all of your thought into that candle and willing your wish to come true.
The only reason I say meditating is because when you say praying, I picture somebody praying to a candle, which is sort of like praying to an inanimate object, but you can actually meditate on objects, and I don't know, it seems a lot cooler to me to say it that way anyways, but you know, you guys have your own thing.
Some people they do the silent prayer. Some people actually pray out loud. But whether it's silent or whether it's out loud, it's still the same thing as doing a spell with a candle. I mean, when Catholics go to church to pray, they light a candle before they do their prayers. And Catholicism is one of the closely and loosely associated part of Christianity that pagan roots fell over into.
Some people believe that Wicca, or even paganism, is like the work of the devil. I'm sure you've heard that before.
Of course. I actually have a little segment in my book saying that you will not go to hell. In Wicca, we do not believe in Satan. We do not believe in hell. Our afterlife is what we manifest it to be. If we think we're going to go to hell, when we die, our life is going to be torment. Our spiritual, it's going to be in torment. If we think that we're going to have a nice afterlife, it'll manifest that way when you die. But there is no Satan. There is no hell in Wicca. One of the actual creations that some people like to argue over the devil is the actual horned god, Pan.
Right.
He looks like the devil. He's half. Some people draw him as, half goat, half human, and everything like that. Kind of like a what's the name of the animal? The Greek mythological animal, not a centaur. Well, maybe it is a centaur.
No, the centaur has like a full horse body. I know what you're talking about too. I'm also drawing a blank on that. Damn it.
It was still in Hercules.
Yeah, exactly. Either way, tell you what, when we're done the interview, I'll look it up and then I'll mention it in one of my segments just to get it out of the way. But
okay. That's where they drew Satan from, really. That's where Wicca is loosely associated to the devil. And then, Satanists really didn't help the fact when, they started the satanic movements. and inverted the pentagram. A lot of Wiccans just ignore what people have to say, and they just let bygones be bygones.
Right, which is the best thing that you can do, for any belief. So you don't believe there's anything dark or sinister behind Wicca then?
There's nothing. The only darkness that exists within Wicca is actual life and death, because that's what Wicca revolves around, is life and death. The god is born at the beginning of the year and he dies at the end, and what the goddess has to go through year after year, watching the love of her life grow up, wither, die, and reborn. That's the only darkness that exists within Wicca, is the actual heartache that is represented year after year when she has to watch her consort live, breathe, die, and then have to do it all over again.
One recurring thing that I've been asking on my show to a lot of my guests is what their opinion is when it comes to like chakras and crystal healings and things like that. It's like for New Agers, but do Wiccans have any sort of belief when it comes to like chakras or crystals?
Of course, crystals are a part of nature. I know a lot of people will assimilate it with New Agers and everything, but Reiki has existed longer than what they think it has, and it falls along the lines of people who actually want to heal with their good intentions. And chakras, if you have a blocked chakra, your whole world is thrown out of balance. With that one chakra blocked and not open, everything in your life will seem like it's a mess. It don't matter which chakra it is, it'll affect you. I don't know if a lot of Wiccans actually study it, but I started studying it when I first started my path, and I believe chakras and the crystals assimilated to each chakra are unique, and they're very helpful. And if you use what the stone says is used for, it draws out energies and replenishes energies. Like, for instance, black tourmaline. It is a protective stone. It draws out all negativity around you, so you're replaced with positive energy. And I think it's essential to learn about crystals and everything like that. And if you pay attention to the correspondences for a lot of rituals, for Sabbats and for full moons, they actually have crystals and stones for each month other than just birthstones. And they each play a role in the actual ritual.
Interesting. The fourth episode of this podcast, I actually spoke to Jen Prothro, and she calls herself a spiritist, but she does everything. She does like Reiki healings, crystal singing bowls, all that good stuff. I asked her, out of all the chakras, which one do you have the most trouble with? And she said the sacral chakra. She says a lot of people, I don't even know how you'd word that. It's more closed off, or it's more closed? Is that kind of...
They especially with men, the sacral chakra is the technical missing chakra they say men have. But it's just really because it's closed off most of the time.
Meh.
My problematic chakra really isn't my sacral chakra. It's more of my root chakra. I can't ground. I'm a witch and I can't ground worth the crap.
Oh, that sucks.
And it's very, very essential when it comes to doing magic.
Have you been working on that though?
I have been working on it for 14 years.
Oh wow. Well, I wish you luck with that.
It's more of I channel energy. So I'm not one of those I lay my hands on you and you're healed for good, but I can draw the pain out of people temporarily and give them relief. Grounding isn't really part of that. If you ground yourself, you can't feel other people's energies. So in reality, I want to keep my open channel. That way I can be more beneficial to people.
Right. So it's kind of working for you right now then.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of enchanted forest readings?
I've seen their Facebook page.
Oh, okay. Well, no, it's not a group. It's Gem Prothrow, going back to episode 4 again. On her website, she has, all these things that she can do for you. This costs $50, this costs $20, whatever. And she had Enchanted Forest readings, and I told her I've never heard of it. And she said, it's you find a specific forest that speaks to you, and when somebody wants you to do an Enchanted Forest reading, she goes to that forest, and I guess I'm not 100% sure what she does, but she gets results for the person from that specific forest. So does that ring any bells with you?
It's kind of like spirit guides and everything. She probably uses her spirit guides to commune with the divine beings in nature and everything. So a different forest will give a different vibe for the person. So
right, that's what she was saying, and this is that she can only do it in this one specific forest. So
yeah, it's her communing with her spirit guides.
Wow, interesting. Okay, so between her and you, I'm learning some stuff here. All right, awesome. All right, Kasey, we're gonna get to the fun part of the interview now, because I'm gonna ask you, what are your favorite TV shows?
I have a lot of favorite TV shows, although I really don't have cable. I watch Netflix. I like Supernatural.
That's kind of cliche, isn't it? No, I'm just joking.
I take that back. I love Supernatural.
Perfect.
Ghost Whisperer. I enjoy any type of supernatural shows or supernatural movies. I've always had that draw. Even as a child, like they secretly snuck stuff on TV for kids. Like, for instance, Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon?
I loved that show.
All-time favorite show growing up.
That's a Canadian show too, actually, and I live in Canada, so I'm kind of proud that that's a Canadian show. But anyways,
that was my all-time favorite growing up.
Hells yeah.
But I am drawn to any type of supernatural shows. I like the alien shows, like on the History Channel. I love those. I'm one of those type of alien enthusiasts, like the belief that angels could be aliens type thing. I know it sounds wacky saying it, but I mean, if you look at 15th and 16th century paintings, they actually have aliens in them. So, I mean, they were here before. Why can't people believe it now?
100% familiar with that. You should meet my friend Pastor Jay sometime. Okay, movies. What's the last movie you watched, or your favorite movie, or both?
The last movie I watched. What did I watch last night? Oh, well, I watched The Mist a couple days ago, and
I love that movie.
Psychologically, it got to me. I went to bed with my son in the bed with me.
Didn't want any giant monsters coming and attacking you. I can understand that.
I like any type of movie that's horror. I'm a horror fanatic. But there's no horror movies out there anymore that scare me. Like, when I was a kid, like Pumpkinhead and all those movies used to scare me as a kid, but I guess I've become immune to it now, and no horror movie really scares me unless it circles around demonic possessions. It gets to me psychologically. That's the only thing that gets me. It's psychologically. It's not really, it scares me, but it's in my head.
Right. I think there's some YouTube videos that are scarier than a lot of the horror movies coming out these days.
Yeah, especially when it's like stare at the closet for 15 seconds and something pops up at the screen.
Oh yeah, I don't like those. Those are more just, you're not scared, you're just startled, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you said if it's like demonic possession. So what about and I have to mention this because it's my all-time favorite horror movie, Evil Dead. Not sure if you've ever seen it or what your opinion is on that.
I haven't been able to see it. It's not available on Netflix or anything like that. But I have seen the cover of it. But a lot of the best movies that would have made really killer, damn good movies are cheaply made. Is this one of those poorly filmed ones, but it was a really good movie?
The first Evil Dead, like the one made in the 80s, was so damn cheesy, but it was so damn good. Like, it was like very low budget, crappy acting.
I'm talking about like low, but like there are so many low budget movies out there that they're like, if they had the funding, that movie would have been badass.
Right. Well, to be honest, if Evil Dead wasn't made the way that it was made, I don't think it would be as good. Like, if they had a huge budget, I don't think it would have been as good, but that's just my opinion. Okay, music.
I'm all over the place with music. I'm very eclectic. I love country. I live in the South. I love rock. I love hip hop. Rock and roll. I work for an indie rock label, Delinquent Records. They're like like dark grunge, heavy metal type rock, everything like that.
So you're just everywhere with the music then?
Yeah, I'm everywhere. I have favorite artists and everything like that, but I couldn't just choose one or two over all of them. I mix all my music together. People get irritated with me when I burn CDs. When I used to burn CDs all the time, they're like, why can't you keep the genres together? Why you gotta run country and then run rap and then have Miley Cyrus in here and then have Marilyn Manson right after her? I'm like, what?
Oh, there ain't nothing wrong with that. No. Okay, so I know you said you don't want to run through like all of your favorite artists, not including mixed CDs. If I was to hop in your car right now and hit play on your CD player, what CD would I hear?
You would hear my husband's CD. There was some country hip hop group that was cycling down through here and promoting their CD. It's one of those. Have you ever heard of the Georgia Boys or Colt Ford or anything like that?
Nope.
I assumed you didn't. You don't live in the South.
No, definitely not.
Well, it's one of those type CDs, but if it was my vehicle when you popped up in it, there'd be some Taylor Swift up in there.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I love her newer stuff.
I'm not really familiar besides what I hear on the radio when my girlfriend has the radio playing. Other than that, I know that song Trouble. That's about it. But okay. All right, Kasey. We're going to get into some name association. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a name, and you just really quickly in a nutshell, they don't have to be one-word answers or anything, but just really quickly in a nutshell, just tell me what you think of that person.
Okay.
Okay. H.P. Lovecraft.
Even though his work is considered fictional, he has actually built a very good stance with the necromancy. He presented it very well, although people don't believe it because it's fictional, but he actually presented the basis of necromancy pretty well in his writings.
Right. I'm actually a huge fan of H.P. Lovecraft. I have the Aldrich Tales and the Necronomicon and all that good stuff, but
I've read the Necronomicon before.
Yeah, it's actually... Yeah, I love it. Okay, Stevie Nicks.
She is a wonderful artist. I grew up kind of listening to her. I love her Black Velvet song.
Yep. Okay, I was asking because it was rumored that she is actually a witch. Were you familiar with that or aware of that?
If anything really social networking wise, internet wise, for the past few years came out, I really haven't heard about it. I just recently came back on the grid.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the show American Horror Story. They had their newest season, or their latest season, was called Coven, and she's actually featured in a couple episodes as a witch because of the rumors that she is a witch. So that's really cool that she actually went on and did that for them.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that after we get done with our little thing.
Yeah, definitely check it out. I'm not sure if you're familiar with who this is, but Sully Erna.
No, I don't know that name.
Okay, it's a singer of Godsmack, but he's also...
Okay, I was going to take a stab at it and say Godsmack, because after you said Stevie Nicks, I'm like, he's going to say Godsmack, but I didn't know the actual singer's name.
Oh, okay. And I know he's a Wiccan, so that's kind of why I was asking, but no, not too familiar with that either.
I've actually read about him being a Wiccan. He's actually pretty open about it, too, and I actually support that, because it's not too often that you come across someone in the music industry that is very open about that type of studies or practitioners or anything like that.
Anytime somebody displays their beliefs and they're not ashamed of it, thumbs up for them. J.K. Rowling.
It's kind of obvious that she would be including in this session, considering, she wrote Harry Potter.
Right.
I've read a few of her tweets and everything, especially when it came to, she's an activist for gay rights. She's been supporting gay rights here lately, and it kind of, led me away from her, the initial thought of her being a Christian, and you're like, you know what, she might really be just, Wiccan after all.
Okay, Gerald Gardner.
He is the founder of Wicca. His first book came out in 1946, Skyer. It's fictional book, but it was his first book based around Wicca that he basically, actually in this book, he is pro-Trinitarian Wicca. Even though the path hasn't been even established yet, within that book, he actually says, he promotes the use of the Christian gods within Wicca.
All right, Kasey, that's all I have for my name association. So I want to thank you so much for coming on my show. I really appreciate that. Trinitarian Magic for teenagers and young adults, Wicca and Witchcraft. Where can people find it?
They can find it on Amazon. They can find it on Amazon Kindle. They can find it on Barnes & Nobles. Pretty much anywhere it's supposed to be distributed widely. The fastest way is Amazon Kindle, or Barnes & Noble.
Okay, perfect. And maybe you can send me a link for that so I can put it up in the description of the show.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. Do you have anything that you want to, besides your book, do you have anything that you want to promote, or any questions for me, or anything that you want to say to my listeners before we go?
Go forth with your witchy selves.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much, Kasey, and you have a great night.
You too.
Is it wrong to be out of step? Dan Farson goes out to challenge people who hold odd views about life. Are these people just cranks, or are they one step ahead of us?
And now to meet the witch, Dr. Gerald Gardner, who lives in a ruined mill among a collection of eerie relics of witchcraft. Surely one reason for the secrecy today is because covens are an excuse for sexual orgies.
Oh, that's nonsense. You see, they've got a very good religion of their own, and they work a little magic if they want to. But of course, most of it is just they have a little dinner and a dance.
Well, what do you dress in when you dance?
The traditional witch's costume.
Which is what?
The skin.
In the nude?
The nude, yes, exactly.
Well, that's it for this episode of The Rosco Show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I especially want to thank Kasey for allowing me to ask her all kinds of questions about Wicca. I was very ignorant of Wicca. I still am very ignorant of Wicca, although I feel I do have a better understanding of it now. I had no idea who Gerald Gardner was, but you know, I think tonight I might just watch a documentary about him and learn a little bit more. Is that cool with you, Iris? Yeah, right. As soon as we turn this off, you're going to be like, you're not watching that documentary. So anyways, yeah, so thanks so much for that, Kasey. You want to be a guest on The Rosco Show? Hit up my website, www.theroscoshow.com. Fill out that contact information. Tell me what it is you believe, what you don't believe. And if I like it, we'll get you on the show. Also, hit me up on Facebook, www.facebook.com/The Rosco Show. I'm on Spreaker, spreaker.com/user/The Rosco Show. And we will be up on iTunes very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, The Rosco Show will be on iTunes. We should have been on there like a month ago, but yeah, you know, I'm kind of a slacker. Anyways, next week, we're going to have Brandy Madden, host of Dogma Debate, David Smalley's wife, on the show, part of the Secular Media Group, so that's going to be a good one, so be sure to tune in for that. Next time you hear something about Wicca or witches, just remember, it's not all evil. Actually, it's not evil at all. There is actually a very good message when it comes to Wicca and witchcraft. So just keep that in mind. Very many people can be judgmental. Even the term witch can be used as a negative term a lot of the times. When you call somebody a witch, it's used as negative. And I can understand that, you know, watching Hollywood movies and all that, people have different ideas of what witches are. But I think today on the episode we learned what a witch actually is. So just keep that in mind next time you call somebody a witch. It can mean a positive thing. That's it for this episode, guys. Remember to keep an open mind. Peace. Do you have any like specific opinions when it comes to like atheists or like Christians or anything like that?
I have opinions, but I'm not very. I don't Bible thump. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like a Bible thumper when it comes to expressing my opinions over other religions, because I've studied a lot of religions.
Right. Yeah, me too, actually. And I know a little bit about Wicca, but I don't know that much. So if I ask any questions that seem like they're stupid questions, just let me know.
Okay.
So, like I had Phil the Anti-Theist, Blake the Christian Apologist, Jen the Spiritist. So this one would be Kasey the... What would you prefer that I put?
You can put the Witch.
Kasey the Witch?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I was gonna ask that because I know that will grab people's attention more, and I think more people will click play than if I was to put Kasey the Wiccan. So I really appreciate that. But I didn't want to ask you because I wasn't sure how you'd feel about it. So,
well, I prefer to call myself a witch more than a Wiccan. I mean, I've studied Wicca and everything, and I practice Wicca, but I also am a great witch.